Hello everyone watching at home. You're with Adelaide Eternal. I'm Beckett Wolfe, and I'm bringing you a bit of a different one today. Drafting blindfolded. Are we drafting blindfolded? Well, we might as well have, because I started a draft and walked away and forgot about it and had lunch and came home and this was my deck. So it just arbitrarily picked some cards. And we'll see if we can make a deck out of it. So I think the first thing, this is it. The first thing I'm going to do is sort by colour and see what we've got. So, okay, so we seem to have a majority of white. And we've got a bit of blue. And maybe a bit of black. Because our land base looks so awful. Yeah, ether flux reservoir, that's not going to do it. Because our land base is so awful, I think we probably want to stick to two colours if we can. So the blue and the white is 26 cards. I think we're just straight off the bat not playing these. And we'll put the lands over here to one side. Sort by CMC. So that's 26 cards. This deck's good, man. It's not good. It's not good. Wrath effects. I hate Elspeth. Trinket Mage finds nothing, so we'll cut that. I don't like this card. I don't really... Oh. Do we have a black land for souls? Not really. Main board Containment Priest. This deck is pretty awful. So I think we've got to make two cuts. It's probably going to be souls. I really hate this card. It's got to be Urza, right? There's nothing. Urza just does nothing. We've got a blue-white land. We can't really play this. And we've got Caracas. So 9 and 6. Let's go 8 and 7. I think generally the recommend is pretty good. You do have to be careful with it. Sometimes it will add a black because you're playing mono white and it sees Lurus and it wants a black land. So, you have to vet it. You can't just blindly do it. But generally it's pretty good. If I can, I will try to get my land base closer to 50-50. So if my spell count is like 60-40, so let's say I've got 60% blue and 40% white. When it's that close, I won't do 60% blue lands, 40% white. I'll just do 50-50. Because I just feel like it just makes it more consistent. I really don't want to be, I'm going to have to cast white, or the 40%. Did I say white was 40? I'm going to have to be casting white spells when it's that close. So I really can't just be like hoping, I don't think it needs to be an exact reflection of the amount that you're playing, Like if you're splashing one blue for Time Walk, you don't really want just one blue source, right? You're not practically ever going to be able to cast that. So I'm going to keep this on the assumption that my hand is just awful anyway, because my land base is awful. The Student of Warfare is really bad, but I can pitch it to Solitude. I can cast the Brazen Borrower. Containment Priest isn't really a card you need to be playing on turn 2 proactively. It's more of a gotcha card, so hopefully I can draw the white later on turn 4 or something and still get value out of it. So that's my logic to keeping. It's obviously very bad, but I think the deck's really bad, so we'll have a crack anyway. And I hope I didn't clickbait anyone with my drafting blindfolded. We might as well have, because I could have just closed my eyes and clicked randomly. At least it would have gone faster for my opponents. I feel a little bit bad. And we found a white here. Now, Containment Priest says non-token creature, so I can't actually prevent the Saga things coming in. Just thinking about if I want to play Student of Warfare. I think the answer is no, because we drew Wrath of God, so there's a very good chance we'll be Wrathing. If I found that on turn 1, so let's say my opening hand was Student and Wrath, I'd probably play it. Get a bit of damage in. But now this late into the game, the Student's not going to be impactful enough. I'm not going to pressure my opponent's life total enough So it's more likely I'm going to Wrath. Yeah, I mean, I could even play him out and chump block in the hopes that my opponent overloads the board. So if you play a creature, it's more likely my opponent will play another creature to go wide, or pressure through a chump block or something like that. Or, so there is value to playing it. I might even play Containment Priest or something like that. But most likely I'm just going to Brazen Borrow Construct here. Brazen Borrow are really good. I wish I had 3 of them, I could hit the Mox Diamond, I could hit the Construct, I could hit the other Construct, so yeah, it's pretty strong. And there's definitely an argument there to be had to hit the Mox Diamond, but I think I just want to build, get to 5 mana to try to play my powerful 5 drops, and this puts a significant dent, It turns their other Construct into a 3/3, and it turns their, and I don't take the 4 damage there, and it kills one of them. So, pretty significant life total change by borrowing there. The Containment Priest says if it wasn't cast, and I'm just want to quickly read Douthie to make sure you may play it this turn without its mana cost. So play generally indicates cast. So I don't think Containment Priest does stop a Douthie. But I do need to decide, because if I Solitude, I guess I can go to my turn. If I pitch the Solitude will go to my graveyard, be exiled to the Douthie, and then my opponent will be able to Douthie. So we found the white there. I'm just going to tidy this board up with Wrath of God. My only logic being is that with black and Douthie, I'm pretty scared of like a Thoughtseize effect. I don't want them to Thoughtseize away my Wrath of God. So I'm happy to just get that. It's kind of like a 1-for-1 value. Yeah, Shieldred's pretty strong there. Hoping to draw a land, and then we can Solitude. It's definitely an argument here to keeping up Smirking Spelljacker, and then Solituding in the end step. But Shieldred is just so powerful, man. Like, takes so much damage, it really does. So I think this way, we're assuming my opponent. Yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing. I thought my opponent's probably going to be able to play mid-range threat, but the chance they can play something that absolutely trumps the Solitude is pretty low. So I like this position a bit better. And once again, we could get a little bit greedy and try to keep up Spelljacker. It just seems a little bit risky to me, though. I'm going to hit the Bombardiers. Bombardiers is so good, man. Such a powerful spell. And we're just going to keep up Containment Priest. And now I think we're finally going to play the Containment Priest out in the end step, most likely. Get a bit of damage in. Thoughtseize. Well, we'll let them Thoughtseize. Hopefully they take Containment Priest, because we can keep up Spelljacker. I don't think there's any scenario where they're taking Student of Warfare. Maybe I should have taken Containment Priest, because the only scenario where they're taking Containment Priest is if they've got a Reanimate combo or something like that, or some sort of sneak attack through the breach, in which case I want it. But whatever. I take the Spelljacker, that makes sense. And, we're actually looking pretty good here. I'm going to Containment Priest. I'm happy to trade off with this 2/2, get some damage in. And I'll play the Student of Warfare, and we'll also play Brazen Borrower. And, yeah, we're actually presenting a fair amount of damage, because Student's going to bash for 3 next turn. So I'm going to throw it all. Happy to offer a trade. I think they probably will trade. Yeah, because they can see the damage that I can produce. And so my opponent's got a bit of card advantage in the sense that they're untapping with 4 cards. But yeah, they've only got 4 mana, or 3 cards now. They've only got 4 mana sneak attack, so they did have sneak attack. Okay, and they can sneak because the Bombardiers becomes a treasure. So the fact that they didn't sneak anything there is actually really good news. That's fascinating about the Containment Priest. I still think it was correct to swing. You got to view your cards as, what they can do. Containment Priest isn't just its text; it's also its power and toughness. So I want to leverage every aspect, milk every aspect out of my cards. Going to level this once, pretty well telegraphing that I've got a Wandering Emperor or a Restoration Angel or something, but well, It's pretty much Wandering Emperor. If my opponent switched on and they assume that I'm a good player, then it's pretty well telegraphing Wandering Emperor. But whatever. Now, the fact that I could be really scared and play around a top deck sneak attack, but they could have snuck? They could have snuck last turn, and they didn't. So I'm actually pretty happy to just play out a 2/2. If we draw a white, the student becomes a 4/4 double striker, and it's lethal. I'm happy to be proactive. And yeah, you know what? That's absolutely fine. I'm happy. As long as they're not drawing, something that completely trumps what I'm doing, then I feel happy. Collector's Cage. I don't really know this card. Let's have a see. So it's a hideaway card. Elspeth Knight Errant seems pretty good, right? I think Elspeth. Or do I want Savines so that I can get Containment Priest? I think I want Savines so I can get Containment Priest back. So what does it say? Put a +1 counter on a creature you control. Then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So I've got a 2, a 3, and I guess I've got a 4. Oh no. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. What did I do wrong? Oh, this is a 2/3. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a pretty bad misplay. Let's see what they've got. Sneak attack 4. Oliphant, that's not going to do it. They get to trade with the student. Take 8. And now it's just about whether or not they're going to top deck a thing. So yeah, that was pretty bad. I obviously wanted to put it on the Brazen Borrower or the student. And then I get to Containment Priest and not lose to Sneak Attack. They would have snuck in response, but it didn't matter. We were aggressive enough. I don't know why I thought this was a 3 toughness. It's right there in black and white. Coat Sale License. The card's cool though. So what are they playing? Sneak Attack. Yep, well, we don't really have a sideboard, do we? So back they go. I think my instinct to put it on this thing was because it had Ward 1 and my opponent still had 1 mana up. So I was like, I just want to put a counter on the thing that can't be stopped in response. But obviously it was pretty bad oversight. But we didn't get punished for it, and this is a great hand. It might seem pretty mediocre, but Hard Evidence is so smooth. Gives you a 1-drop, gives you a 2-drop, then we've got a 3-drop, and we'll be drawing enough cards by then with the Cracking of the Clue that we can surely get white and start using some of this stuff. And sometimes you get turn 1 through the breached. It happens. So they get, that's pretty bad, yeah. I was going to say, the Atali isn't even that, like you don't strictly lose the game. It's not like a Grizzlebrand or even an Archon or a Grave Titan. I'd rather Grave Titan here, because you can just whiff and hit, a Mana Dork and a Abrupt Decay or something like that, and it doesn't do anything on turn 1. But the fact that they hit the Kavek, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice for them. This deck is good, man. Better lucky than good, I say. Look, if you want to win events, I've always said it, you need to be skillful, you need to have a good deck, and you also need to get lucky. That is part of Magic. It is part of it. So I'm just keeping up Virtue here. Krakus is obviously very strong against a deck that wants to cheat, because we've seen Sneak Attack and Through the Breach, so it's not just a cheeky little splash. They seem pretty committed to it. And yeah, this card doesn't seem very good in their deck. It's obviously our card, but they didn't have a choice about it. But I can't see them leveraging it too much, is what I mean to say. And we might even find Brazen Borrow and bounce it back. So I might just go Chrome Ho Sea Shark here. There's arguments to be had to keeping up Caracas or something like that if you want to play really scared, but I think we're better off just getting some more threats out before we start playing defensively. Just get a bit more of a clock on. Solitude there is phenomenal. Really, really safe. 0 mana, obviously. Gets rid of this Savines, which is largely dead. We can bash. We could even go snap Hard Evidence. I don't mind it. Puts 2 extra power on the board. Let me think about this. Puts 2 extra power on the board and makes another 1/1 incubator. I think we need to do some maths. So if we snap Hard Evidence now, then next turn we do 6. And we can go activate for 7/8. So it's not actually lethal. What's our alternative? Is I guess just crack Clue or activate. Yeah, we'll pass. I was just trying to work out if I can get lethal going snap Clue, I would consider doing it. But it's as you know, it's a little bit lackluster. There's probably better things to snap. Actually, that's one question. I don't actually know what there is to snap, because obviously I didn't design the deck or look at the drafting process. But yeah, the fact that we've got other stuff to do and crack this Clue, you know, if I didn't have anything else to do at all, I would do it. Just use my mana, be proactive. But we do have other things to do, so yeah, I'll leave it. And this is a very, very strong position. We've got Solitude. We've got Smirking Spelljacker, and we've got this Stoic thing if we want to be a little bit more proactive. Happy to trade off cards. As far as I'm concerned, we're winning this game. Slowly but surely. We just need to not get combat out. So very happy to trade off a kill spell for a creature. So yeah, this is a fantastic position. We can Spelljack something powerful. We can Solitude something to keep the Spelljack available for something that's game winning. And if they do nothing at all, we just play a random 5/3 that presents lethal next turn. Doughty Voidwalker. Now that's exactly what I'm talking about. I can let this resolve. I don't need to Spelljack it because it doesn't win the game. But if they do something like Mind Twist me after that, and I go, ooh, and then I Spelljack it and they force or something, then I can Solitude. So I'm just going to ignore it for now. And I'm going to play this Sphinx. They're going to have to do something because that is lethal in the air. So I'm not going to Solitude because Solitude gains them life. And they see the line and they concede. 2-1. Alrighty. Match 2. We're on the play. And look at this beast of a hand. It just looks so bad when you don't get to draft it yourself. It's a higgledy-piggledy mess of CMC. It's a higgledy-piggledy mess of bad mana. We're going to play Student of Warfare. And we're going to get aggressive. So this hand looks pretty bad, and it is. But if we draw an island, it's actually got a little bit of legs to it, because we can get a very aggressive bashing for 3 on turn 2. And then untap and play a 3-drop here in Chrome Host or Kite Sail, which is pretty, we're using our mana. I'm pretty happy with it. And we've got even a Solitude there. So we missed it. So we'll level. Pretty awful now. I think it's gone from a good hand to an awful hand. Doesn't seem like much of a difference, but yeah, just having an extra creature out really does make a difference. That's a very good play because my opponent completely shuts me down and I don't get any value. Skyclave is a beautiful card. Sometimes you can get a bit of value back out of it if you kill the Skyclave and get a 4/4. You can kill the Skyclave end of turn, get a 4/4, use the 4/4 to block the other thing, that the other 2/2 they were swinging with, and you kind of get a bit of value back. Getting back a 1/1. Pretty disappointing. Urza. Yeah, and you can see that if we hit if we'd hit blue land, we'd be in a very good spot here, but we just missed it, and now at this point it's just a little bit too late in the game. That's really bad because I want a Solitude here, but I've only got white mana, so I kind of want to keep my white spells to use my white mana, but Solitude's my only castable thing, and it might just be slipping away from me a bit. I'm going to try to do that trick. It doesn't work anymore, I was about to say. I'm going to try to do that trick where I Solitude the Skyclave and then block the 1/1 construct. And we sort of deal with the board a little bit there. Kappa Kennedy. Okay, I think this one's done. I think this one might be done. Yeah, this one might be done. Okay. We won't show them our blue. We won't show them any of our cards. Zack Attack wins. We'll just run it back because we don't have any sideboard at all. I really want to 3-0 with this. It'll be so funny. It'll be so funny. I mean, the thing about if this was a normal draft, obviously, there's no scenario where you could ever win a game. But you know, the thing about Cube is they're all good cards. So you might not personally, like I personally don't love playing with Monastery Mentor, but you know, it's still a good card. So we'll play the planes out there so that they still think we're on mono white. And they got a Lotus. I don't want to be too dramatic and say we've lost right off the bat, but it is a strong start. You know, there's no shame in losing to a Lotus. I'm going to play the planes again, just to hide the blue. It's pretty irrelevant, but I don't think there's too much double blue. Yeah, the only double blue I've got early is Borrower, and I would be bouncing with the Borrower anyway. And then I've got the Stoic Sphinx. So there's no blue 3 drops other than Borrower, which I'd be bouncing the Construct on. And it's bad, but now we're pretty much just locked into Wrath of God, right? So hopefully they overload the board. There's even an argument to be had for going Mentor here to sort of pressure them into loading the board up even more. But I don't think I'm going to do it. I want to play Wrath and then stabilize after with Mentor. And yeah, we're just hoping we can absolutely get them with, you know, them tapping out and just playing a bunch of creatures, emptying their hand onto the board, and calling it a day. We obviously don't want them to keep up a counterspell because I don't think we're going to be able to beat this board otherwise. But you know, we've got some legs. If we're able to do the Wrath, and the Mox Opal switches off. Tolarian taps for 1. They've got no pressure. They're just doing for an Urzus here. Well, that's good news actually, because that means Teferi. That's awful. Just awful. I was going to say it's good news because that means I don't have a counterspell. It's about as bad as it gets though. We needed them to have creatures so we can leverage the Wrath. But now we're resetting, the game slows down, and there's nothing better in a slow game than a Planeswalker that draws cards. Just wondering if I want a Hull Breach. I think we just have to Wrath. We Wrath, and then we try to let them have a draw, and then we try to get them with Hull Breacher, I suppose. I don't think there could have been anything better than Urzaring for the Teferi. I mean, they just could hit a land or a whiff. Any creature, any land. Honestly, anything that doesn't cost 5 mana, you know. There's just, you know, counter spells and spells that target creatures and stuff. There's really, you know, I don't know their list, but there really would be seldom cards that are good to flip off the Urza there. Hopefully we can get them with the Teferi. You can see how they've just replenished their hand completely. So they seem to be pretty committed to artifacts. Might even be able to get them with Containment Priest and a Tinker. What do you name if you're them? What do they see of ours? Student warfare. It's pretty bad here. Jace, now that they've seen islands. Oh yeah, Emperor. Fair enough. We didn't show them the Emperor, but it's a pretty good name. Okay. So yeah, we're just going to pass here so that we can hull breach of them. And then we can also potentially Containment Priest in the end step. Again, we're so far behind, I think we want to play risky and hope that they tinker something. And also, Containment Priest can just flash in and pressure the Teferi. Reprieve. Ugh, doesn't get any easier, does it? It doesn't get any easier. Alright, so let's reset. We can kill the Esper Sentinel here with the Containment Priest, which is not a bad little play, and we still get to pressure the Teferi. So we're not totally out of it, considering they had a turn 1 Lotus and then a phenomenal flip into Teferi. We're actually not even out of it. So they know about the Hull Breacher now, but that doesn't make it a bad play. If I'm going to be honest, it's still not a terrible play. We're going to pressure the Teferi, even though the Hull Breacher sort of deals with it, because it stops Teferi sinking the Containment Priest, and if they have a counter spell for the Hull Breacher or something like that, their left is just so high. I'd rather just clean it up tidily, make the board nice and tidy, because I think eventually they'll find some sort of answer for Hull Breacher. I mean, the Teferi will be able to neg the Hull Breacher eventually. So that's an interesting swing. It's to me that's bad, because if I was them, I would be holding this back to block Hull Breacher and Containment Priest. So that tells me they've got something good here. Parallax Wave. Yeah, Parallax Wave ought to do it. Parallax Wave ought to do it. They can just wave in response. I guess we let them Teferi. Here's my logic. They're going to Parallax Wave Hull Breacher straight away anyway. So we might as well be more mana efficient and play the Stoic Sphinx. Like, it's all getting waved. It's all getting waved anyway. You might think, oh, but it's got hexproof if you do it in your turn. Doesn't matter, because it's only, if I played on my turn. Oh my god, they've got the Wandering Emperor name. Yeah. Alright, let's think. I really want to go like Mentor and one of my non-creature spells to get a little bit of value out of it. You might think I want to Elspeth there and pump, but of course they'll eat the Containment Priest in response. They were probably thinking about Containment Priesting anyway. So yeah, let's just play Mental, just because it lines up well with our mana, and then we'll Hull Breacher. So at least they've got a forced Parallax Wave into Hull Breacher. They'll probably want to Parallax Wave the Mentor. And yeah, we might be able to survive. But you can see just how many activations they've gotten out of this Teferi. I mean, it's just nuts. And if they didn't have the Teferi, I mean, I don't want to exaggerate here. It feels like this will be the 4th draw with the Teferi. And they're on 5 cards. I mean, imagine if they had 4 less cards here. How significant that is. If they just whiffed on the Urza. I sound like I'm getting real whingy now. I need to not let it get me down and just play smart with the board that we've got instead of dwelling on the past, maybe. Just really wanted to win with this this Blindfold deck. Alright, well, we'll force them to Parallax Wave, I guess. And I suppose we could Elspeth and force them to eat the containment priest, and then we get all the creatures back, maybe? How does that work? How does that work with containment priest and parallax wave? If a non-token creature would enter battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it, but they all come in at the same time. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. Anyway, they've got lethal. Got lethal here in the air. Yeah, it's a bummer. That name of the Revoker is incredible. I mean, really made the difference. If we'd gone Emperor here, eat the 5/5, stabilize at 5, we get all our creatures back and win. That's a shame. So close. Alrighty, so we had a loss, but we'll keep going. I think 2-1 is going to be a pretty good result with a list like this. So we'll have a crack. I've had a little break in a coffee and recomposed myself. This hand's pretty mediocre. The cage is good on... what is the cage good for? It's a weird card. Because Hideaway is obviously good with some powerful, cheating in spell. But the activation ability is good in an aggressive deck with lots of creatures. So it's a bit of a weird card. Even if you consider the mana cost for the ability to be worthwhile, it sort of does... It doesn't fit either deck particularly well. If the Hideaway, instead of... I guess... So you've got like the cost, which is you need multiple creatures. And then you've got the payoff, which is the Hideaway. They don't really work with each other. If the payoff to the cost was something like all your creatures get +2/+2 until, or for the rest of the game, or something like that, some powerful effect, that sort of works better with the cost, But at this stage, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's a card that doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have value or isn't, worthwhile for its cost. But yeah, just don't really see what it achieves. I haven't really been focusing on what's happening. My opponent's played some stuff. We basically need to find something for Mum. Oh, we do. Only just. So we find Kite Sail for Mum, which is pretty good. This is a weird thing. So it seems like if you read the card, it says, so let me start again. Choose up to one other target artifact or creature that player controls. One remaining. Oh, so I can target an artifact. But then, nothing happens. So how does that work? I think it's a bug in Moto. Long story short, you can't choose one artifact and one creature. You choose up to one other artifact or creature is the wording. So it does work, but the way it works how it's supposed to, but the way it sort of the triggers work doesn't seem to make sense. Once again, I'm putting the counters on the card with Ward. So there's a good chance my opponent could kill the Kite Sail, and then just like bash for 2, 4, 6, 8 if they want to bash with the Mum and really get in there. But I'm willing to take that risk and at least tax them on it a little bit. Unfortunately, the Kite Sail just turns it into a Lotus Petal, so if they kill this, then the Mum would be activated. Okay, they're killing the Mum to replay the Mum. Guess that makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense. So, this is a tough one actually. I need to get busy thinking. You need to get busy thinking or get busy thinking. There's value in bouncing the Rebel. I don't want to give them a free mystical confluence. Mystic confluence. This is a tough one. What do you bounce here? I don't know what the answer is. Part of me wants to go bounce, bounce, bounce. But then I have to do it now before Mum gets activated. I really don't want them to have lifelink. I really want to get Solitude back. Is it, I do it now but I don't bounce Mum? My instinct was to bounce Mum, but I bounced the token for the value. I bounced Douthie so they can't do it to me. And I bounced Lurisk so they don't lifelink me. I don't know. Then I think we need to start getting aggressive. Bash for 5. And we can actually keep up Spelljacker and... No, we can't. I was going to say keep up Spelljacker and do this business, but this is sorcery speed only, right? Oh no, put a +1 game, then if you draw... Target creature you control, then if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, you may play the exile. So, it's not sorcery speed. So I can keep up Spelljacker and then go activate this, have 3 different creatures, put a counter on, play the Hull Breacher. Sort of already got the value out of the Chromo Sea Shark. So I'll keep the 3 power Ward Flyer. Plus I want to be a bit punchier. And the game's sort of slowing down a little bit. Student of Warfare. I actually think this is a pretty good spot. Oh, I was instinctively going to collect this Cage there. But I think I want to keep up. So Cage is... Yeah, I've got it. I bash Lily. And then I keep up either Emperor and Incubate, or if I find something I want to counter, I Spelljack and Cage. And I'll probably want to counter Lurus here. Well, I'll have to counter Deep Cavern Bats because it steals the Spelljacker anyway. So it's not Lurus, but it is what it is. And at least we get to Deep Cavern Bats them back. Douthie, sure, yep. No worries. So they can't really attack into me unless they want to get real aggro and tap Mum. Then we get to Deep Cavern Bats their Lurus. Palace Jail. Palace Jail is a 2/2. This is looking pretty good, right? I mean, this is pretty strong. So what, we bash for 7? It's pretty good. We bash for 8 in the air. We get a Deep Cavern Bats. Eat their Lurus. Which they can kill, but they're not going to be able to kill the bats, play the Lurus, and get too much value out of the Lurus. And we even keep up Emperor and Palace Jailer. So that was pretty strong. We also had different creature... Oh, God, why is it doing this? We also had different creature powers there for the Hull Breacher. We also had Incubator switch on. So you can see we had like a lot of different things to do, even though we only had 2 cards in hand by the end of it. We had a lot of different things we could do with our mana, and we had a decent amount of mana because we were hitting our land drops every turn. So I think just having that versatility is really what won us. You know, there was options to go. You know, my opponent would have been thinking like, oh, I need to get the Mum back so that I can, you know, be able to like block this because they're pressuring me with the 5/5 or, you know, whatever it is, or I need to be able to do this because they got that. So when you've got multiple options, you're threatening winning on different axes, flying in the air, we've got damage in the air, we've got this hideaway thing, you know, we've got value out of the Monarch. You know, when you're doing lots of those stuff, I'm just going to let this resolve. Don't want to go down on cards, on land, sorry. When you're doing lots of stuff, then your opponent plays around it. And if you've got multiple powerful ways to win or to leverage your cards, it becomes really tricky because, they play around one thing, like they play around, your lifelink thing being at a race, and then they lose the card advantage. So there's value in that. So yeah, Daze isn't as great when my opponent knows about it, but Daze, you can't just be Daze in the first spell you see that they tap out for. A known Daze is worse, but at least now my opponent, instead of playing a 3-drop there, they might just be playing a 2-drop because they're scared of they're scared of Daze, and then you essentially Stone Rain them for 0 mana. It's a 0 mana Stone Rain in your hand, which is pretty strong. Sometimes it's correct just to play around it. And look how much value we got. If I was Tidal Skull, I'd be swinging there. It dies to the Snapcaster Mage. So what, So what? Then it's a bad Snapcaster Mage. You got value out of seeing my hand. You trade it off. You got information. It's a win. And the Snapcaster's ETB doesn't work. So I probably would have swung into Snappy there. If you don't swing, then you're not pressuring me. You're forcing the game to go late. You're letting me leverage the Snapcaster Mage anyway. And eventually I'll find a kill spell for this and get my critter back. Daze is just generally... Rule of thumb is you want to be winning the board, or at least have a threat out. Daze is bad when you're losing the board, because if you're losing the board, you need to desperately win the board back. So I'm not actually going to block here, I'm realising, because they can instant speed +1 counter it. So I just retract the blocks. That's actually pretty good for us. They spent 3 mana to put a +1 counter on a Tide Hollow Scholar. And we find our mana, which is really good. So I'm thinking about casting Elspeth, upticking and bashing for 5. Just a real, left, right, good night. The problem with it is it's just a smidge risky, because if they kill the Kite Sail, they get this 3-2 back, and then they can swing both at Elspeth and kill it, and then I am completely out of my board presence. And they're leveraging the power of their creatures. So I'm just going to hold off the Elspeth for now until I'm more consolidated in my board presence. And you can see the Daze. It's hard to know what the Daze is really doing, but if my opponent had a 5-drop here, they can't play it into Daze, and that's relevant. That turns the Daze into a Stone Rain. Sometimes it's better as a Stone Rain. So they can pay for the ward, which is pretty cool. But very generally speaking, and you saw in the last game, Parallax Wave people don't like playing with it because they get so scared of these counters. I've hardly ever played a game where the creatures come back from Parallax Wave. It just always seems to be quick enough, It always seems to be quick enough. I was thinking about playing Elspeth there, making a 1-1, hoping the Parallax Wave eats the 1-1 and they swing both at Elspeth, only for the reason that I want them to swing Elspeth, not me, because I'm scared of dying quickly. But I am just going to play this. It'll get absolutely eaten up by the Parallax Wave because it's a token. It's a nice, easy target for them. And then I'm going to snap. Yeah, eat with the way. Oh, swords to plowshares. Sure. Now the problem with snap is it doesn't actually trade with the underdog because they can put a counter on it. I think I'm going to have to do it anyway. I'm quite far behind. So we'll force them to put a counter on it. They don't have to. They could trade here and then start blitzing it. It's not terrible. But it's, if it saves us 4 life, which isn't terrible. I just want to survive. Emperor is very good. So we'll pass turn. Or Emperor. We'll see if they get greedy and try to cage something for a bit of extra damage, which they probably will. Because of course I could Emperor here now. But yep, we'll let them cage. And now we'll Emperor. and that's a perfect exile because it stops it blitzing. There's also an argument to be had to get my Mystic Confluence back, but we've got things we can do for 5, so Confluence is very strong, but the blitz is also pretty strong here, so either or. And we completely stabilise and get out of that parallax wave, which is really nice. Now you'll notice my opponent did a cool little move there where they parallax wave their own creature, so that when it comes in, it's essentially saving the creature. I don't know if it was completely worth it, but it's a very neat little play. Parallax Wave's got so many little tricks to it. I'm going to make a 2/2. I know what you're thinking. Is a 2/2 better than an Emperor? It's better than an Emperor when they've got a 3/3 out and the uptick doesn't do anything. Yeah, I think it is better. 2/2's relevant. So we're not going to do the Tidal Sculler. I'm thinking about doing this Collector's Cage. And yeah, I think I will. I think I'm going to do the cage. I just am a bit scared of the Hideaway. I think we're starting to turn the corner. So not the only way, but it's more likely we're going to lose by something really unfair, like some big, Eldrazi under the Hideaway, than it is us losing to sort of card advantage. So yeah, that's why we're targeting there. And I'm just wondering if I want to Spelljack here. Get a little bit of damage in. I kind of do. I think I do. I'm going to Spelljack. Specifically because next turn I want to be playing some of my, either Elspeth is really punchy or Virtue is really punchy. Okay, well, if I'd known I was going to draw the Stoic Sphinx, obviously keeping up Spelljack's really good. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of start getting a bit, going a bit wide there. Yeah, we'll bash the 3/3 flyer. Yeah, the other option is to do this. It untaps all my creatures, which is really, really strong. But yeah, so I wanted to get a bit punchy there. Play Elspeth and punch in, or play the Virtue and punch in. And then if I know I'm playing one of those, my next turn, then I'm not keeping up Spelljack anyway. And if I'm playing this next turn, then I'm probably playing this the turn after, which means Spelljack is just sitting in my hand for 3 turns. So I'd rather just 9 damage, or do you know what I mean? Like either 9 damage or a Spelljack in hand for 3 turns that can't be cast. This is pretty strong. It's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. Yep. It's pretty strong. 2, 3. And an island. Thankfully we do have Stoic Sphinx here, which is actually pretty strong as well. Flash threat. So yeah, the only reason I didn't do that is specifically because I drew Stoic Sphinx. So if I knew I was drawing Stoic Sphinx, I would have kept the Spelljacker up, because then I can play both and go, okay, didn't find something to counter, just play some random 5/3, which is pretty strong. I keep saying pretty strong. And that's a great block. We got our Confluence back. Yep, they get in for 5, but they got no cards in hand. You can see this is a great position. And yeah, Palace Jailer was a sick rip, but honestly, I think we were in just such a commanding position. I tapped kind of wrong there. I needed to keep up double blue for Mystic, so because of that mistake, I am going to just play Elspeth. And actually, the more I'm thinking on it, the more I think I probably wanted to play Elspeth anyway. So yeah, hardly a misplay. Maybe it was a little bit too safe to try to hold up Mystic, just get one more punchy threat in there, really close it out, Like Palace J is technically a threat and you could hold off with, Monarch, I guess, forever, but whatever, Elspeth closes games pretty quick, so happy to do that. We're going to let them draw because we're so far ahead. They probably wouldn't be able to find something to kill us. It's like 70-30, 65-35 or something, but we're just so far ahead, we'll let them draw. So Palantir was quite a nice draw for them, actually, because they got no cards in hand. So yeah, we'll let them draw. See what they did. They put one on top, one on bottom. Even Interrupter's really good there. I don't like the card, but it is quite strong here. Quite strong. And Mystic Confluence isn't that good this late in the game because there's so much mana. Because I'm on such low life, like arguably I want to counter a random 2/2, you know, because that presents lethal. Not saying I would, but because we're on such low life, like everything's so threatening. That yeah, like you kind of need to counter everything, and they've got so much mana that I might have to go like counter unless they pay 3, counter unless they pay 3, counter unless they pay 3. So you can see the position it can kind of put you in. I'm going to play Virtue. 5. Because it untaps our guys, so we play around sort of haste threats. And we've still got Mystic. We've got 3 instants here. Oh, 4. Look at that. So yeah, it plays around sort of some sort of hasty thing. Lock Twain. I think it's okay. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Sometimes people think they're getting value out of killing the jailer because they'll get their creature back. I'm just having a think. I'd have to go counter unless you pay 3 twice and draw a card. You know what I might do? I might do this one. Because they can't play it this turn. They have to wait a turn. And we get to Containment Priest, which is strong. Because it stops the Hideaway, it stops some other random cheating in, Reanimate. Not that it really matters because we're in such low life, but they can't get their creature back if they win Monarch. Yes, I want them to draw 1 card, and it's good with the Virtue. We just want to close this game out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Well, 2-1, pretty good result. I really wanted to get that 3-0 with it. Pretty good result for us though, given the circumstances. And I didn't achieve what I wanted. We only got 8 trophies. There's 16 hours left. I might have another round or 2, but my goal was to get on this first page, so I needed 12 trophies at least to get on that front page. So we didn't really achieve what we wanted. Where are we? There we are, down here. So you can see we're still pretty in the top. What is that? There's my little bar. Still in the sort of top, you know, 5%-ish. But yeah, we still got a few time. If I get 2 more trophies, go up to 10, I might be convinced I can race it out. But thanks so much for watching my blindfold game, and we'll see you at the next Adelaide Eternal.